Summary: The Obstacle is the Way, The Timeless Art of Turning Trials into Triumph, Ryan Holiday. Book link click here. Here is a summary of the praise for the book The Obstacle is the Way. Robert Greene, author of The 48 Laws of Power and Mastery, a book for the bedside of every future and current leader in the world. Jim Isoni, managing editor of the Huffington Post. Ryan brings philosophy out from the classroom and thrusts it back where it belongs, in our daily lives, helping anyone approaching any problem address it with calmness and poise. An absolute must-read. Chris Guillebeau, author of The $100 Startup. First came Marcus Aurelius, then Frederick the Great, and now there's you. This surprising book shows you how to craft a life of wonder by embracing obstacles and challenges. Nancy F. Kane, historian and leadership expert at Harvard Business School. In this tight, engaging book, Ryan Holiday shines a bright, powerful light on the path to living and leading well. Read it, learn from it, and get cracking. James Altucher, investor and author. My life has been beset with obstacles. It takes practice and pain to surmount them and achieve success. Ryan's book is a how-to guide for just that. Stephen Pressfield, author of The War of Art and Gates of Fire. If there's such a thing as a cargo pocket handbook for Jedi Knights, this is it. Ryan Holiday's The Obstacle is the Way decants in concentrated form the timeless techniques for self-mastery. Kamal Ravikant, author of Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It, beautifully crafted. Anyone who wants to be better should read this. Honorable Frederick Bloch, U.S. District Court Judge, inspired by Marcus Aurelius and concepts of Stoicism, Ryan Holiday has written a brilliant and engaging book, well beyond his years, teaching us how to deal with life's adversities and to turn negatives into positives. It is invaluable. Sharon Labelle, author of The Art of Living. Ryan Holiday teaches us how to summon our best selves. Most of us spend our lives dodging the hard stuff. Holiday exposes the tragic fallacy of this approach to living and offers us instead the philosophy of the Stoics, whose timeless lessons lead us out of fear, difficulty, and paralysis to triumph. Here is a summary. People often feel paralyzed and stuck in the face of obstacles and challenges. Great individuals can transform weaknesses and obstacles into strengths. They can see obstacles as fuel for their ambition and motivation. This book teaches the reader how to cultivate this ability. It shares lessons from the history of individuals who overcame immense hardships and turned disadvantages into advantages. The book aims to help the reader get unstuck and turn negative situations into positive ones. The key is not just to accept obstacles as not so bad but actively look for ways to make them suitable, to find opportunities and benefits. An ancient Zen story illustrates this well. A king places a boulder in the road to test his people. Most give up easily, but one peasant persists until he finds a way to move the rock. He is rewarded for overcoming the obstacle. The story shows that within every block lies an opportunity. Common obstacles include physical limitations and mental barriers like fear, lack of experience, prejudice, and lack of credibility or resources. But these obstacles can all be overcome with the right mindset and persistence. The summary outlines the main message and approach of the book, that cultivating the ability to transform obstacles and setbacks into advantages is critical to progress and accomplishment. Stories of persistence and resilience illustrate how this can be done. With the right mindset, creativity, and determination, obstacles that stymie most people can be overturned and used as motivation. The key is refusing to see obstacles as only negative but looking for the opportunities they contain. Here's a summary. The passage discusses overcoming obstacles through perception, action, and will. It argues that how we see and interpret events, our perception, is critical. We gain an advantage if we can curb extreme emotions and see things objectively. It gives the example of John D. Rockefeller, who started as a bookkeeper during a financial crisis. Rather than panic, Rockefeller stayed calm and rational. He saw the crisis as an opportunity to learn. He realized markets were unpredictable, and speculation led to disaster. Only discipline and rationality could lead to profit. Rockefeller's perception and self-discipline allowed him to turn obstacles into opportunities and build his empire. He remained calm during the chaos and market fluctuations, seeing clearly what others could not. Critics said his company could adapt to any challenge. This ability came from learned behavior and discipline, which Rockefeller developed early. The passage says we can apply such perception to overcome our obstacles. With an objective, rational, and disciplined mindset, we can identify opportunities and openings where others see only distress or difficulties. The key is limiting extreme emotions and passions and seeing the world as it is. This ability, to stay calm and see through obstacles, provides a considerable advantage. Here is a summary. John D. Rockefeller referred to his time's economic difficulties and instability as the school of adversity and stress. He was grateful for his struggles early in his career because they taught him valuable lessons. How we perceive and react to obstacles and setbacks determines our success in overcoming them. Rockefeller was able to see opportunities in difficulties that others viewed as misfortunes. His ability to remain confident and rational despite obstacles contributed to his success. We have a choice in how we respond to adversity. We can react emotionally and lose perspective, or we can remain calm and disciplined in our perception. We can see the good in situations and focus on what we can control. This allows us to see opportunities others may miss. Even when facing difficult circumstances, we are never entirely powerless. We always maintain some control over our attitudes, beliefs, and choices. No one can force us to despair or believe something untrue. Our minds and reactions remain our own. Situations themselves are neither good nor bad. We bring judgment to events with our perception and way of thinking. The same situation that seems hostile to one person may seem optimistic to another. Our perceptions and beliefs determine whether we view circumstances as obstacles or opportunities. Examples of individuals who were able to transform difficult situations into opportunities through their perception and discipline include Reuben "Hurricane" Carter, Nelson Mandela, and Malcolm X. By maintaining control of their mindset and choices even when faced with injustice or imprisonment, they were able to persevere and grow stronger through their struggles. In summary, the key message is that perception determines reality. We can transform how we view obstacles in difficult circumstances with discipline and the right mindset. We always have a choice in how we respond, and we are never entirely powerless as long as we maintain control of our perceptions and attitudes. We open ourselves up to tremendous success and growth by remaining confident and seeing opportunities within struggles. Here's a summary. The pioneer woman saw opportunities and possibilities in each new situation, not obstacles. She chose to have an optimistic and determined spirit. In contrast, we often perceive minor obstacles as severely limiting and insurmountable. Our perception of events creates obstacles or destroys them. The event itself is neutral, we give it meaning through our stories. We can choose to see events differently. For example, an employee's mistake can be seen as an avoidable problem or an opportunity to teach an important lesson. It's our choice what story to tell. Steadying your nerves requires practice and experience, not just courage. Historical figures like Ulysses S. Grant remain calm in dangerous situations throughout the course. We often let stress and surprises shake us up, but we can choose to stay steady and focused. Staying poised requires both defiances of intimidation and acceptance of responsibility. There is always a way through challenges, so we don't need to panic. Preparing for difficulties and accepting the stakes can help us stay determined. Panic leads to mistakes and poor decision-making. Astronauts were intensely trained to remain calm in any situation to avoid disaster. We often panic in relatively minor cases on Earth, but we can cultivate the ability to control our emotions. Unfamiliarity breeds fear, but consistent exposure reduces uncertainty and steadies our nerves. Astronauts practiced every detail of spaceflight until it became familiar. We can likewise increase our ability to stay calm in stressful situations. The Greeks called inability to remain rational and balanced in the face of emotions apatheia. Cultivating apatheia helps us avoid indulging extreme emotions and instead make pragmatic choices. Here's a summary. Don't let negative emotions overcome you. When you feel them rising, say no, thank you, and refuse to panic. Stay focused on solving the problems, not reacting to them. Responding with worry or fear often does not provide more or better options. These emotions are unhelpful and can be destructive. Feel them if needed, but don't confuse feeling with acting. Remind yourself you are in control, not your emotions. Defeat emotions with logic and questioning. Ask yourself whether the situation warrants freaking out. If the answer is no, get back to work. You have dealt with worse and will not die from this. Stay objective. See events as they are, not as you perceive or fear them. An observing eye sees what's there, a perceiving eye sees more than what's there. Question your impressions and perceptions. Use contemptuous expressions to strip away excess meaning or judgment. See glamorous things as ordinary, intimidating people as humans. Remove subjectivity to gain objectivity. See the situation as if it's not happening to you. Perspective is everything. It loses power when you break apart a fear or look at it differently. Explain fear away by shifting your perspective. Don't ignore fear but understand its cause. Choose to view obstacles as less ominous. Anxiety often arises from the wrong perspective. Summary: stay objective and in control of your emotions. Question them and your perceptions. Explain them away by changing your perspective. Do not let negativity and fear gain a foothold. Respond with logic instead. See clearly what is there, Not what you fear is there. With practice, you can master these skills. Here is a summary. We can choose our perspective on obstacles and challenges. While we can't change the obstacles, we can change how we view them. Our perspective determines how difficult it will be to overcome them. It's easy to adopt an unhelpful perspective that makes us feel overwhelmed by small things. But we can reframe our mindset to one that cuts obstacles down to size and helps us feel empowered. Two types of perspective matter: context, seeing the bigger picture, not just what's in front of us. Framing, how we uniquely interpret events. Both can be used to change how we view intimidating situations. George Clooney revitalized his acting career by shifting his perspective. Instead of seeing auditions as a chance to be judged, he saw them as an opportunity to solve the producer's problem of finding the right actor for a role. He began conveying that he was the solution to their needs. A slight perspective shift made a big difference. Our perception shapes how we respond to events in our lives. The proper perspective leads to the right action. We should distinguish between things we can control, our choices, judgments, attitude, and items we can't, circumstances, other people. We should focus our efforts on what we can influence. Tommy John, a baseball pitcher, had a long career by always looking for even a tiny chance of success and giving maximum effort to those opportunities. He knew the difference between unlikely and impossible. The Serenity Prayer highlights the wisdom in accepting what we cannot change, having the courage to change what we can, and gaining knowledge to know the difference. What we can influence includes our emotions, judgments, creativity, attitude, and decisions. What we can't control includes circumstances, weather, disasters, and other people. The most harmful tendency is thinking we can change things beyond our control. Successful people focus on what they can influence. Unsuccessful people struggle with overcoming addictions and obstacles because they spend too much energy fighting the unchangeable rules of the game. Here's a summary: focus on what you can influence and control. Don't waste energy on things outside your control. Many successful companies were founded during economic downturns. Their founders focused on the present moment and the task rather than worrying too much about the overall economic climate. Live in the present, Mom. Refrain from analyzing lies the meaning and implications of events. Take things daily and focus on what's in front of you. Use techniques like exercise, meditation, and unplugging to stay present. Steve Jobs was famous for his reality distortion field. He didn't accept conventional limitations and pushed the boundaries of what was thought possible. Our perceptions shape what we're capable of achieving. Question the limitations and doubts that others place on you. While we can't control reality, our perceptions do influence it. Artists, thinkers, and innovators push the boundaries of what's possible in their fields. Jobs demanded the impossible from his teams and pushed them to achieve it. Though the demands seemed unfair, the results were groundbreaking new products. Most people complain and make excuses despite impossible demands rather than pushing through them. In summary, think differently by focusing on what you can control, living in the present moment, not accepting perceived limitations, and pushing the boundaries of what's possible. This mindset can lead to groundbreaking innovations and results. Here's a summary: the idea that Jobs had a lunatic plan for the iPhone was wrong. His bold vision and willingness to reject naysayers and overcome obstacles led to its success. We are often taught to be realistic and compromise, which can hold us back. Successful entrepreneurs have faith in their ability to achieve things that others say are impossible. Obstacles and unfair challenges can provide opportunities to test our creativity and determination. The German Blitzkrieg strategy in World War II exploited the tendency of opponents to see only the obstacles and overwhelming force rather than the opportunities. Eisenhower could flip this perception and see the chance for a counterattack. Our perceptions play a crucial role in overcoming opponents and obstacles. We can train ourselves to look for opportunities within obstacles rather than just seeing the challenges. Every situation, even bad ones like having a lousy boss, provides chances for growth and improvement if we look for them. Struggles against obstacles inevitably lead to change. We can reframe situations that people typically view negatively, rude or disrespectful people, conniving or critical people, lazy people, as providing advantages and opportunities. Lower expectations, motivation, and learning are gifts, not just burdens. The key is developing a mindset that pierces through the surface package of situations to see the opportunities and benefits below. We can fight this reframing, but the obstacles remain. We make things harder for ourselves. The benefits are still there if we open our eyes to them. In summary, developing an opportunistic mindset and reframing obstacles as opportunities and advantages are critical to success and growth. Look beneath the surface, have faith in your ability to turn disadvantages in your favor, and never forget that the struggle against an obstacle always leads to growth. With this outlook, you can find opportunities anywhere. Here is a summary. Demosthenes overcame immense challenges and disadvantages through disciplined action and persistence. Despite being born sickly, losing his father at a young age, and having his inheritance stolen by negligent guardians, he worked tirelessly to become the greatest orator of Athens. He devised exercises to overcome his speech impediment, educated himself, and sued his guardians to regain a part of his inheritance. His story shows that determination and hard work can overcome almost any obstacle. Most people fail to act in the face of adversity and obstacles. They complain, wait for others to solve their problems, or delude themselves into thinking problems will solve themselves. But action, not perception or excuses, is the only way to improve your situation. People have overcome much worse circumstances through creative action and persistence. What matters in life is not what happens to you but how you respond. You can let circumstances overwhelm you or work with what you have to achieve great things through action and determination. The act requires courage, creativity, and persistence to achieve your goals. No one wants to face obstacles or disadvantages, but they will only yield to action, not perception or complaining. Take time to process difficulties, then act with gusto and creativity to overcome them. Some of the most successful people faced immense hardships and turned shit into sugar by refusing to quit and work. The key message is that disciplined, determined action can overcome any obstacle or disadvantage. Success comes from working with what you have rather than complaining about your lack. Perception and excuses change nothing, only action and persistence can improve your situation. Turn difficulties into advantages through creativity and hard work. Here is a summary. Getting started is the most challenging part but the most critical. Like Amelia Earhart, say yes to any opportunity to get moving, no matter the conditions. Momentum builds from there. Apply total effort and urgency. Move faster than your competitors and obstacles. Where there is energy and persistence, there is progress. Stay pushing ahead relentlessly. Never stop moving. Keep the momentum going. While others delay or rest, press forward aggressively. Practice persistence and determination. Try different angles and approaches, like Ulysses S. Grant at Vicksburg. Refuse to be rattled by setbacks or time. There is always a way through, so keep trying. Success comes from continually pushing ahead, not rushing or quitting. Broadcast the message that you are unstoppable to yourself and your obstacles. Victory will come, though it may not be pretty. Stay persistent. The key steps are: get started anyway, go full speed, never stop moving, try different approaches persistently, and project determination. Victory comes from continually pushing ahead, not perfection. Success is built through momentum, made through persistence, and relentlessness. Here is a summary. Grant learned persistence and tried new options by failing at Vicksburg. This led him to discover a winning strategy. Persistence and innovation often come from failure, not sudden insights. Edison tested thousands of filaments before finding one that worked for the light bulb. Genius is often just persistence in disguise. Success comes from exhausting options, not flashes of insight. Many think success comes from epiphanies. But persistence, trying many angles, eliminating options, and grinding away leads to breakthroughs. Once you start, quitting is not an option. Abandoning one path for another is okay, but leaving altogether means failure. Persist and resist. Doing new things means obstacles. You can learn and find new paths by persisting through failures and setbacks. The difficulty is expected and helps you improve. Failure is a feature, not a bug. Treat yourself like a startup, releasing a minimum viable product and improving based on feedback. Fail fast and cheaply. Failure educates and opens up new options. Great entrepreneurs slip but don't fall. They need to be more wedded to positions, afraid to lose investments, embarrassed by failure, or out of the game for long. They iterate and improve. While we know failure teaches, we often take it too personally in our own lives. We should embrace it like an entrepreneur. Try new things, fail, learn, and try again. Success comes to those who persist through failures, not those who avoid them. Failure puts you in corners you must think your way out of. It leads to breakthroughs and tremendous success in the end. Stories of success are preceded by failure because the people persisted and were spurred on by loss, not ashamed of it. That covers the main points around embracing failure and persistence as paths to success and innovation. Let me know if you want me to clarify or expand on any summary part. Here's a summary. Failure is inevitable, and the only way to avoid benefiting from it is by not learning from it. Failure provides feedback and shows us what doesn't work so we can improve. The key is to follow the process, not the prize. Please focus on the task, do it well, and move on to the next thing. Break down significant challenges into small steps. Excellence is achieved through a series of small steps. Focus on finishing and finishing well. Finish each task, workout, play, blog, etc. The process is relaxing because you focus on one thing at a time. Even huge tasks become manageable. Follow the process, and don't panic. An example is James Pollard Espy, who couldn't read or write until 18. Henry Clay told him he just had to learn 26 letters to learn to read. He focused on one step at a time and went to college a year later. Apply the process to tricky situations. Stay calm, conserve energy, avoid panicking, and address challenges individually. Refrain from trying to overcome obstacles with brute force. Break them down into manageable steps. We often want ambitious solutions and feel change is only possible if manageable. But the process can overcome any challenge by breaking it into small steps. Have goals to provide purpose and perspective. Focus on your progress and efforts. The key lessons are: learn from failure, follow the process, break down significant challenges, finish tasks well, stay focused, have purpose and perspective, and progress through small steps. Here is a summary: do your job and do it well. Whatever task is in front of you, no matter how small or tedious, do it with excellence and pride. That is the path to greatness. Many successful people started from humble beginnings by doing their jobs well. What matters is effectiveness, not appearances. Focus on results, not how things are supposed to be done. Adapt to the situation rather than rigidly following rules or conventions. Do what works. Life is constantly testing us and putting obstacles in our path. We must respond to these challenges with hard work, honesty, and helping others. How we respond shows the meaning we are making in our lives. The way we do small, ordinary things is the way we do everything. Develop excellence and mastery in all areas of life, not just the most prestigious roles or projects. Pay attention to details and do quality work even if no one notices or rewards you. Pragmatism means doing what works rather than getting caught up in notions of what is right. Stay calm in theories and rules. Focus on resolving the issue in front of you. However, you can, and move on. Be flexible, adaptable, and willing to solve problems unconventionally. Results over appearances. The message is that effectiveness, hard work, and adaptability are the keys to progress and success. Do your duty, do it well, and do it, however works for the situation rather than rigidly following convention. Mastery and excellence in small areas create knowledge and excellence in life. Stay focused on beneficial results rather than appearances. Take action and solve problems pragmatically using the tools you have available. Here is a summary. The key message is that the most effective approach is often indirect, going around obstacles rather than confronting them head-on. Some examples: George Washington was a master of evasive maneuvers, flanking attacks, and avoiding confrontation with superior British forces. His most famous victory, crossing the Delaware, was a surprise attack on sleeping mercenaries, not a direct battle. A study of 280 historical campaigns found that only 6 involved decisively defeating the enemy in a direct attack. The other 274 were won through indirect moves. Great strategists like Little Hart advocated indirect approaches, taking circuitous routes and avoiding stalemate by not attacking where the enemy expects. The line of least expectation, an oblique angle of attack, is often the most effective. Avoiding an opponent's strengths and focusing limited resources elsewhere is wiser. Disadvantages like smaller size can be advantages, as they force creativity and avoid confrontation. Success often breeds weakness, as those with benefits never truly have to develop their technique. The instinct is to push back when pushed, but it is better to pull opponents off balance than attack. The side door strategy embraces creativity and avoids direct opposition. These principles apply broadly, not just to war or business. An indirect, oblique approach is often the most effective in overcoming obstacles. Success comes from a little defeating big, using technique and cleverness rather than confronting force with force. The core message is that confrontation is rarely the answer. Look for an unexpected angle of approach, a clever workaround, or a way to unsettle your opponent without meeting their strength. Victory comes from deft maneuvering rather than brute force. Be mysterious and creative, not headstrong. Focus on progress, not a fruitless charge at obstacles. Use the side door, not the front door. Here is a summary. Kierkegaard practiced indirect communication, where he conveyed ideas dramatically through pseudonyms and stories rather than directly lecturing readers. He showed new perspectives rather than telling people what to think. You can't convince people by challenging their deeply held beliefs directly. You have to find common ground and work from there. Or leverage their interests to get them to listen. Or build support for an alternative so they join voluntarily. These indirect strategies may feel like shortcuts or unfair, but they are pragmatic. They are the process of real strategists focused on results, not ego. Obstacles can be overcome by withdrawing and letting the obstacle defeat itself. This uses the obstacle's energy and actions against it. Gandhi used nonviolent civil disobedience to provoke the British into responses that undermine their authority and control. Martin Luther King Jr. did the same. Sometimes, the only way to defeat an obstacle is to find a way to use its energy to help you. Alexander the Great tamed his wild horse Bucephalus by tiring it out so it had no choice but to submit. Obstacles can be dealt with in the same way. It can be best to restrain yourself and be patient, letting obstacles resolve themselves or become irrelevant. Jumping in often makes things worse. We often assume moving forward is the only way to progress, but standing still, going sideways, or backward can be better. Success is about getting where you want to go rather than how you get there. Passive resistance requires discipline, control, fearlessness, determination, and strategy. It pushes negatives into positives by turning obstacles' power against them. Obstacles that seem too big to overcome directly can be defeated using their bigness against them. Their strength becomes a weakness. The harder an obstacle fights back, the easier it becomes to overcome by using its energy against it. The more violently authority cracks down, the more sympathy builds for the cause. In summary, Kierkegaard and figures like Gandhi, King, and Ash provide examples of indirect and clever strategies for overcoming obstacles and opposition. The key is to channel the energy and actions of the block itself into defeating it rather than directly confronting its power. Success comes from pragmatism, not ego, and the determination to reach one's goals, not how one gets them. Here's a summary. Arthur Ashe was an unbeatable tennis player. He was able to remain emotionally composed but played boldly and aggressively. He made incredible shots that stunned his opponents. He could do this because he had mastered control of his emotions. Other players were too outwardly emotional and couldn't handle the pressure like Ashe could. Adversity can either harden or make you better, depending on how you respond. Ashe and other black athletes like Joe Louis were able to turn the disadvantage of racism into an advantage. They remained stoic in the face of racist taunts, which intimidated their opponents. We all face rules, social norms, and obstacles that constrain us. But as Ashe did, we can turn that frustration into fuel for explosive action. While the practices limit others, we can subtly subvert them to our advantage. Like water dammed by an obstacle, the energy and power don't disappear but are redirected. Great leaders seize opportunities in crises and turn them to their advantage. Obama turned the Jeremiah Wright controversy, which could have tanked his campaign, into a chance to give an important speech on race that propelled him forward. We should look for these opportunities in our lives and take action we've long planned to do. A crisis provides an opening to do what couldn't be done before. Ordinary people shy away from crises and failure, but great people see them as opportunities. They turn personal tragedy and misfortune to their advantage. We often complain we lack opportunity, but opportunity knocks in the form of crisis. We fail to seize it. Great military leaders look for decisive points in a battle where they can unleash energy to turn the tide. While others see disaster, they sense the enemy's weakness and attack. Victory often goes to the side that continues pressing the offensive, even in exhaustion, rather than retreating. We must rally after long struggles instead of giving up at the decisive moment. The main message is that we should seek to turn adversity, crisis, and constraint into fuel for action and opportunity. Great leaders and athletes are defined by their ability to seize these moments, unleash their energy, and remain unstoppable in facing challenges that would defeat others. We must cultivate this mindset. Here is a summary. Abraham Lincoln struggled with severe depression and adversity throughout his life. However, he endured and overcame these personal struggles, which ultimately prepared him for the immense challenges of his presidency. Lincoln's life was defined by overcoming difficulties, poverty, loss of loved ones, political defeats, depression, etc. He endured these hardships with patience, compassion, and a sense of purpose. These qualities made him uniquely suited to lead the country through the immense suffering of the Civil War. Lincoln's strength was his will, his ability to accept complex tasks without despair, balance humor and seriousness, use his suffering to help others, and see beyond petty conflicts. His favorite saying was "This too shall pass," which he applied to all situations. Clear thinking and action are only sometimes enough. Some obstacles must be overcome. We must be prepared for difficulties that cannot be solved and find purpose even in suffering. We need fortitude and wisdom to endure such times. Lincoln was always innovative in his solutions but also prepared for the worst. And when facing the worst, he provided strength and endurance. Because of his own life experiences, he was able to lead the nation through immense hardship. The will is the one thing we fully control. While we can work to perceive well and act with energy, our efforts can be thwarted. But our choice, our heart and spirit, cannot be affected by outside forces. It gives us fortitude and wisdom. Lincoln developed a strong will through the adversities of his life, which then allowed him to lead with determination and endurance. In sum, we can learn from Lincoln's ability to endure, provide strength in times of suffering, and maintain will and purpose even when facing immense hardships. His life illustrates the discipline of choice. Here is a summary. Lincoln was known for his calmness, compassion, and gravitas in the face of immense difficulties. He had access to deeper wells of wisdom and endurance that allowed him to lead the country through the Civil War. He embodied the Stoic idea of bearing hardship with courage and persevering in one's tasks. Modern technology has given us an unrealistic sense of control. In reality, life is unpredictable and often complex. We must cultivate inner strength and wisdom to navigate challenges we cannot control or overcome through force. Fundamental Stoic principles for building inner strength include: accept what you cannot change, manage your expectations, endure and persevere, learn to accept whatever happens, protect your inner self, submit to a more significant cause, remember your mortality. Theodore Roosevelt overcame childhood asthma through dedicated physical training. This built his character and prepared him for a difficult life of public service. We are not defined by our weaknesses or disadvantages at birth. We can remake our bodies and minds through practice and discipline. Ancient philosophers and spiritual traditions saw the cultivation of the mind and character as athletic training. They built their inner citadel, a source of strength within that could not be broken by external circumstances. We are not born with such power but must build it, especially during good times. It is our only protection against adversity. Life is like an arena, and we are like gladiators. We must build strength, resilience, courage, and readiness for hardship to survive and thrive. It is better to focus on strengthening ourselves than trying to control challenges beyond our influence. Though born weak, we can choose to train and thus achieve the strength to endure, contextualize, and derive meaning from the obstacles we cannot simply overcome. This is how we flip the unflippable. No one is born strong in a will or with an invincible inner citadel. We must build it through practice and discipline, embrace it with difficulties. This allows us to maintain our footing when troubles arise, as they inevitably will. The only absolute control we have is mastery over self. Here is a summary. The metaphor that the path of least resistance is a terrible teacher means that avoiding challenges and difficulties will not help us grow. The key idea is to face intimidating and uncomfortable situations to become stronger. The passage discusses the importance of anticipation and thinking negatively. We should conduct pre-mortems to envision what could go wrong in our plans and projects. This helps us avoid potential disasters and have contingency plans in place. The Stoics practiced premeditation of evils for this reason. Expecting the worst and managing our expectations help us avoid being blindsided by problems. While others may see this as pessimism, it is pragmatic. The final part focuses on the art of acquiescence, which means accepting the constraints and difficulties in our lives rather than resisting them. For example, Thomas Jefferson thought he could have been a better public speaker but focused on his writing skills instead. Constraints often push us in valuable directions, forcing us to develop other abilities. True genius comes from persevering within these constraints. While fighting against them is natural, acceptance is often the wiser path. In summary, anticipating problems, facing difficulties rather than avoiding them, and consenting to constraints can all help us grow stronger and progress. The path of least resistance may be easy, but it teaches us little. With preparation and acceptance, we can achieve more. Here's a summary. Life often brings us challenges and setbacks outside our control. We can't change these external events, so we must accept them. Acceptance is not the same as giving up. It means acknowledging the situation for what it is and focusing our efforts where they will have an impact. Denial and fruitless anger only delay progress. We can find benefits even in unwelcome events. They provide opportunities to learn and grow. By accepting rather than fighting them, we free up our energy to make the best of the situation. Great figures like Thomas Edison, George Washington, and Eisenhower understood that much of life is outside our control. They accepted this and focused on what they could influence. Edison even found joy in disasters like the fire that destroyed much of his factory, seeing them as a chance to start fresh. The philosopher Nietzsche advocated a more loving one's fate. This means embracing everything that happens to us, good and bad. Rather than wishing for events to be different, we accept and even appreciate them. The boxer Jack Johnson endured vicious hatred and racism with good cheer. Rather than internalizing his opponent's bitterness, he designed his fight plan to outmaneuver them. He focused on what he could control, his perspective and performance. In summary, Life's external events and setbacks are inevitable. The key is to accept what we cannot change, focus on what we can influence, and maintain flexibility, creativity, and joy. This allows us to turn problems into opportunities and progress despite obstacles. Here's a summary. Jack Johnson, the first black heavyweight boxing champion, demonstrated perseverance in his fight against Jim Jeffries. Despite Jeffries' nasty remarks and dirty tricks, Johnson remained calm and smiling. He wore down Jeffries through his perseverance and positive attitude. We can learn from Johnson's example. When facing obstacles, we can persevere by maintaining a positive attitude. Rather than complaining or getting discouraged, we can meet adversity with a smile. We can overcome challenges by accepting what we cannot control and making the best of the situation. Perseverance is more than just persistence. It is a long game, enduring over a long period and many rounds of difficulties. Like Odysseus, who faced storms, monsters, and captivity for 20 years trying to return home, perseverance requires iron will and determination. Life presents many obstacles, not just one. Perseverance is required to overcome them all and achieve our goals. While persistence focuses on one problem, the industry is the cumulative effect of overcoming many challenges. It is a matter of will and endurance, not just energy and action. Perseverance has been a key to success and progress throughout history. Magellan's voyage succeeded mainly due to his ability to endure hardship. Perseverance and indomitable will were once seen as definitive American qualities but seem to be weakening, especially in young people today. Rather than persevering through early failures and setbacks, many get discouraged and give up. We can persevere by following the example of those who try many ventures until they find success rather than getting discouraged by early defeats. Perseverance opens up new powers and can overcome any barrier. With determination, there are no limits to what we can achieve. The key message is that perseverance, maintaining a positive attitude and determination over a long period in the face of repeated obstacles, is essential to overcoming challenges and achieving success. By choosing perseverance, we can achieve great things. Here's a summary. External factors can't constrain our determination and willpower. Our plans and bodies may fail us, but we alone can decide to persevere or try a new approach. Determination is unbeatable. We should focus on something bigger than ourselves, like serving others. During difficult times, it's easy to become self-centered out of fear and self-interest. But leaders like James Stockdale showed that putting others' interests first gives us strength and purpose. Helping others helps us. We should meditate on our mortality. Recognizing that life is short and death inevitable helps us gain perspective and clarity. When we truly grasp the impermanence of our lives, we realize what really matters and stop wasting time on trivial things. We focus on living purposefully while we can. No matter what hardships we face, others have likely faced worse. We are not unique in our suffering. Remembering this helps combat self-pity in the sense that life's difficulties are unfair. We are all subject to events beyond our control, which are part of the human condition. But we can face them with empathy, camaraderie, and compassion. Find purpose through serving others. When things seem hopeless, look for ways to contribute and make a difference in people's lives. Having a mission strengthens us and helps us take our minds off our troubles. We gain resilience by building resilience in those around us. Life's difficulties are not special or unique to us. They are part of being human, as others have endured before us, and others will endure after us. Take comfort in being part of something greater, the shared human experience. Do your part to help others through life's struggles as others have helped you. Here's a summary. Montaigne almost died after falling from a galloping horse. The experience changed his life. He realized death is not something to fear and be avoided. Instead, contemplating death can give life purpose and meaning. We often live like we're immortal and impervious to death. But death is inevitable and can come at any time. Remembering we will die helps provide perspective and urgency. It encourages us to prioritize what matters. Obstacles and setbacks are a constant part of life. As soon as you overcome one, another emerges. But facing obstacles helps us grow stronger, wiser, and better. Each obstacle we face prepares us for the next one. We should accept obstacles and difficulties as part of life rather than constantly struggling against them or trying to avoid them. See each obstacle as an opportunity to improve and advance. Maintain a calm and deliberate mindset. The example of Marcus Aurelius illustrates this well. When his friend and general Cassius rebelled against him, Marcus remained calm. He didn't get angry or vengeful. He saw the situation clearly and responded with wisdom. He aimed not to crush his enemy but to resolve the conflict as peacefully as possible. Marcus transformed an obstacle into an opportunity to show strength, mercy, and virtue. In short, obstacles and difficulties are inevitable in life, The key is to control your perceptions and turn each block into an opportunity. Stay focused on growth and progress, not avoidance or revenge. Even the most significant obstacles can become way with practice and time. Here is a summary. Marcus Aurelius and Cassius were rivals for the Roman throne. Cassius led a rebellion against Marcus but was assassinated in Egypt 3 months later. Though Marcus had hoped to forgive Cassius in person, Cassius's death prevented that. However, it allowed Marcus to practice forgiveness on a larger scale. When Marcus arrived in the provinces after Cassius's death, he refused to punish any of Cassius's co-conspirators or supporters. He asked the Senate not to put any senators to death for their role in the rebellion. Marcus saw Cassius's death as an opportunity to become a better, more forgiving leader. Like Marcus, the author says we can use obstacles and bad events to our advantage. They are opportunities to become better people. This approach leads to lightness and flexibility, contrasting with how most people live with disappointment and frustration. Marcus and other Stoics could perceive, act, and endure in ways that allowed them to turn obstacles upside down. They saw, worked correctly, and accepted what they could not change. Their actions gave them confidence, their endurance supported their will, and their perceptions guided their actions. Anyone can cultivate these abilities. The author says we must practice Stoic maxims repeatedly until they become second nature. Then we can thrive under pressure and turn trials and obstacles into benefits. We can manage our perceptions, act with energy, and show endurance. We can see opportunity in darkness and adversity. The author lists many famous practitioners of Stoicism, including Marcus Aurelius, Cato, Seneca, Thomas Jefferson, James Stockdale, Epictetus, Theodore Roosevelt, and George Washington. Stoicism helped many successful and accomplished people navigate difficulties and lead purposeful lives. In conclusion, by studying Stoicism, the reader has joined the ranks of many great philosophers and leaders. Stoicism is not just a theory but a practical philosophy for overcoming life's problems and obstacles. Here is a summary. In 1928, Thomas Hazard donated an equestrian statue of Marcus Aurelius to Brown University. The statue depicts the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, a devout Stoic philosopher. His book Meditations is a key Stoic text. The poet Joseph Brodsky admired a statue of Marcus Aurelius in Rome. He said, "If Meditations is antiquity, we are the ruins." The military officer James Stockdale endured captivity in Vietnam for over 7 years. As he parachuted from his plane, he said to himself, "I'm leaving the world of technology and entering the world of Epictetus," a reference to the Stoic philosopher. Many prominent figures, like Bill Clinton, Wen Jiabao, and Tim Ferriss, have been influenced by Stoic philosophy. The author argues that philosophy should be about action, not just theory. Marcus Aurelius said philosophy should make us boxers instead of fencers. The title of Epictetus's Enchiridion means in your hands. Stoic philosophy was meant to be used and applied. The author acknowledges many influences and sources for the book, including Robert Greene, Aaron Ray, Tucker Max, Jim Misoni, and Rob Goodman. A selected bibliography includes sources on Stoicism, Roman history, philosophy, and more. The key ideas are: Stoic philosophy, exemplified by Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, focuses on action and application. Stoic teachings have influenced prominent leaders and thinkers. The author aimed to make Stoic philosophy accessible and practical in this book. There were many influences and sources for the book's content and ideas. Here is a summary. The list provides recommendations for texts on Stoicism, focusing on sources and translations. The key recommendations are: Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, translated by Gregory Hayes. This is considered the best translation and most accessible version of the book. Letters of a Stoic and On the Shortness of Life by Seneca, translated by Penguin. These provide an excellent introduction to Stoic philosophy and Seneca's thought. Seneca's writings are more engaging and fun than other Stoic authors. Discourses by Epictetus, translated by Penguin. Epictetus's works can be preachy but also contain profound ideas. The list recommends avoiding most secondary sources on Stoicism, except Pierre Hadot's works. Hadot provides essential analysis and interpretation of Stoic philosophy, especially Marcus Aurelius's Meditations and the Nature of Philosophy as a Way of Life. In summary, the critical Stoic texts are the translations of Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, Seneca's Letters of a Stoic, and On the Shortness of Life. After that, Hadot's The Inner Citadel and Philosophy as a Way of Life provide valuable analysis and context. Most other secondary sources, the list suggests, provide less valid interpretations of Stoicism. Here's a summary. The key takeaway is that Pierre Hadot is the scholar to read to dive deeply into practical Stoic philosophy. His translations of and commentaries on Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and Epictetus are excellent. Some other philosophers and authors with a Stoic bent worth reading include Heraclitus, Plutarch, Socrates, Cicero, Montaigne, Arthur Schopenhauer. There are many helpful online Stoic resources, including Essays on Stoicism by Tim Ferriss, the New Stoa website, the Stoicism subreddit, lectures and videos on Stoicism, blogs on Stoicism like Philosophy of CBT and Philosophy for Life. The author provides a monthly reading recommendations newsletter with thousands of subscribers. You can sign up on the author's website or email him to request to be added. The critical point is that while Stoicism is a fascinating philosophy, this book aims to provide practical strategies for real-world problems, not just theory. Additional Stoic resources and reading recommendations are provided for those who want to dive deeper. In summary, Ferriss, and several other philosophers and resources are recommended for learning and practically applying Stoic philosophy. Both ancient Stoic writings and modern interpretations and strategies around Stoicism are suggested. Book link, click here.